My name is Hossein. I'm from Iran, from the city of Tehran. I love Russia because, first of all, it's a land of opportunity. And second, Russia gives you a sense of self-confidence. I've been studying Russian since 2015 in the city of Tehran at Tehran University. I was chosen as the best student at the university, and they gave me a trip to Moscow as a gift. We came for an exhibition, and I worked as a translator accompanying the delegation. After spending around 2 weeks working here, I started to feel that Moscow was actually a really soulful city. And then I decided to come here to study. I had several options: Russian, English, French, German, Italian, and Spanish. Since Russia is a friendly country to us Iranians, I decided to go with Russian, even though I didn't know the country or the language at all. I started from zero, and later, I grew to really love the Russian language and Russian culture. After I graduated from university, I had already made up my mind. I was going to stay in Russia, stay in Moscow, and start building my future career here. When I first arrived, I realized that Moscow was such a vibrant city for me. It has this soulful energy. I really like that. I actually love living in big cities because I'm from Tehran, the capital of Iran. Tehran is also quite a large city. The weather back in Tehran is quite changeable, but we don't really get much snow. The cold season in Tehran usually lasts about a month and a half. That's why I really liked it here. It gets properly cold, and there's so much snow. It was actually pretty tough at first because even though I knew Russian when I came to Moscow, there were still some situations that caught me off guard. One day, after classes at the university, I was sitting in a small cafe eating. But then, all of a sudden, the police came in. They shut the place down and started checking everyone's IDs. It was some kind of local inspection. After they checked my documents and saw that everything was fine, they asked who I was and what I did. At the time, I was a master's student. I told them everything. And then they started asking me these questions like, where are you from? What's your nationality? I wanted to say, I am Persian, but I got confused, and I said I was Pepper. Later on, I realized I just needed to speak a bit more clearly so Russian people could understand me. After that, I didn't have any more problems. It all got better gradually. For me, the real integration happened when I started thinking in Russian. And now, even when I'm asleep, sometimes I talk in my sleep, maybe even in Russian. At this point, I consider myself almost a Russian person, to be honest. You know, when I was just learning Russian, I was really interested in proverbs and sayings in the Russian language. A friend and I decided to write a book about them. It included 100 Russian proverbs, each with a translation, and we analyzed them in that book. At the time, I found it quite interesting. Accordingly, I've been using proverbs ever since, whenever I can. I notice that when I use a proverb, the key is for it to be used appropriately. A Russian person either laughs or really appreciates it. Last year, I read in an article that 51% of people in Russia do sports. Now, it has become a habit for me too. Every morning, I make sure to do some kind of exercise. Even if I'm really busy and don't have much time at all, I still try to do at least 10 or 15 minutes. And if I happen to have more free time, I'll go for a run. Then I start working, and later in the evening, I usually take a walk or meet up with friends. Sometimes we go to restaurants with friends. Other times, we do something more active. We play soccer or table tennis. Sometimes we go bowling. I also have some friends from Iran who have been living in Russia for quite a long time now. They've been here in Moscow for probably somewhere between 15 to 25 years. They are probably considered Muscovites by now. Today, we're attending the screening of an Iranian film. We came to Mosfilm. First, there's going to be a premiere with the director, and then a full screening a little later on. The film is called Breakfast with Giraffes. This screening is being held specifically for the Iranian community. The film is in Persian because there are about 7,000 Iranians living here in Moscow. Most of them are students. Hi. Thank you, Hossein. You see, the organizer of this event is actually a close friend of mine, so he invited me to participate in the event. I remember my first day at university when I met the other students. Someone asked my name. They said, "Your name is Hossein, right?" I said, I started teaching them how to pronounce my name properly. They would say, Hussein. I corrected them. No, with an O, that's Hossein. Eventually, they started coming up with a short Russian version of my name. They came up with Hosya or Haseshka. For me, it was amusing and interesting. I have a friend, Yulia. She is Russian. What is interesting is that, for her degree, she actually studied Farsi, the Persian language, so she can speak our language. Russian girls are very, well, first of all, everyone knows this. They are the most beautiful women in the world. They are very delicate. But, at the same time, they're quite different from women in the East, because in the Eastern culture and mentality, there are nuances that don't exist among Russians. For example, a Russian girl, or really any Russian person, they are very direct. Eastern girls are more formal. Here's an example. Let's say you offer something to a Russian girl or to any Russian person, and they want it, they'll just take it and say thank you. Someone from the East might refuse, saying, no, I won't take it, even if they secretly want it. That's what we call being formal. And for me, that difference really stands out. As they say, if you don't drink tea, where will you get your strength? But I think For an Iranian, it's very important. Tea and candy is obviously a big part of our life. And of course, food. Iranian cuisine is an unforgettable part of Iranian culture. So I think we Iranians just can't live without our cuisine. Today we're going to cook zeresh polog bamorg. That translates to chicken with rice. But of course, like with any recipe, there are a few little secrets you need to know for preparing the rice and chicken. This is turmeric. It's very healthy and gives the food this bright, beautiful color. Next, I have some saffron here. As you probably know, it's considered to be the most expensive spice in the world. Here, I've got some oil. It's sesame oil. It's very tasty. I love it. I always add it to my dishes. Generally, I really enjoy cooking. It's something that helps me relax. Now, all of this needs to be mixed together well. I'm also going to prepare a little bit of tomato paste with some boiling water. It's important to stir everything thoroughly so that the flavors can really soak in, and so the spices are absorbed properly into the dish. I think we're still missing a little mint. Let's turn it on. Now the skillet is ready. It's hot, and we'll add the chicken here. Since I've become a bit Russified, I cook both Russian and Iranian dishes. I like beef stroganoff and I like Russian soups. I love borscht, but also other types of soup, like ukha. I remember trying it in Siberia. Next, I love pelmeni. Of course, I've never made them at home. And I also love, if we're talking about desserts, I love medovik, the honey cake. In traditional Russian cuisine, the spices are just salt and pepper. That's it. Nothing else. But when I cook, I might use up to 20 different spices. For me, using just a couple of spices, it feels like the food loses its meaning. I even make Russian salad. We Iranians eat Russian salad not just on New Year's Day. For us, it's regular food. For example, my mom makes it with chicken. I prefer it with sausage. So we eat both versions. To keep a healthy diet, I sometimes make it with chicken as well.
ما داریم بذار نشونت بدم داریم وایسا زرش پلو با مرغ درست میکنیم.
Actually, when I was still living at home with my family back in Iran, I had never cooked in my life because in our house, the kitchen was completely my mom's domain. So I myself didn't cook. But I was always nearby. I observed how everything was done. And there's one important detail. You need to add barberries. Now it's time to taste it. Let's try. Usually, when we meet up with Iranian friends, we just enjoy spending time together. We go for walks or do something else. Then we go to an Iranian restaurant. We have some in Moscow. And we order our favorite dishes from Iranian cuisine. With Russian friends, I act like a Russian. We might try something new. I remember the last time we tried black bread with fish. I don't remember what it's called. It had a very strong, rich flavor. So I enjoy both cuisines. I'm not a radical person, so I try to be open and accept whatever comes, embrace any culture and any cultural factor. I would definitely say that Russians are very hospitable people, because if you take the time to learn about Russian culture and understand the traditions, then you'll always be treated with respect. As for me, after I had really integrated into life here, I never once felt like someone treated me disrespectfully. Everything was fine. I was always respected. I love Russia because, first of all, it's a land of opportunity. And second, Russia gives you a sense of self-confidence. If you want to move forward in life, want to grow, you'll always be able to find your own space here. You can find your niche, your place where you can become the person you want to be. I love Russian people because Russians are, first of all, simple, and second, soulful. Because Russia is not just a country, it's the greatest and largest country in the world. And throughout its history, even going back to World War II, you can feel how deeply Russian people have always cared about their country, how they want it to improve. There's a shared desire to see their country grow. Russia, I love you.